This is not no just a regular rapper friendship. This is my mother brother right here, J. Cole. Make some noise for my
15 years ago, J. Cole tried to sign a young Compton rapper named Kendrick Lamar. However, despite going on to produce for Kendrick's debut album, work on quote, countless unreleased songs together, and then both tease what could have been the most legendary collab album ever for over a decade.
That mixtape that y'all,
oh man,
it's like folklore, it's hip-hop folklore.
Album, man.
The Kendrick J. Cole mixtape album.
And do you still have some stuff with J. Cole coming?
Yeah, we're gonna drop that out the sky though. I ain't gonna give no dates, no nothing.
We know for a fact that a Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole collab album exists somewhere out there on a hard drive. However, as we're about to see, thanks to everything that's went down these past 10 months, there is zero chance we'll ever get to hear it. Instead of close friends and collaborators, J. Cole and Kendrick are now dropping diss tracks at each other. But how did their relationship crumble so fast? And could it ever be repaired? Well, as the duo finally begins to shed light on their past drama, including this one specific bar from Cole giving fans hope, in this video we'll uncover the truth about Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. Regarded as two of hip-hop's big three, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole are arguably the best rappers to ever touch a microphone. However, the unfortunate truth is, the third member of the so-called big three and the most streamed rapper on the planet, Drake, is entirely to blame for Kendrick and Cole's sudden separation. Or at least, so you think. As we'll see in a second, J. Cole's loyalty to Drake stems back literally over a decade. But yet, as it turns out, before Drake was even seen here buying every CD he could of J. Cole's Born Sinner album back in 2013,
Damn. They probably got more than that, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Fans are gonna come here and they can't get one.
and before Drake was shouting out J. Cole as his brother, on stage in front of thousands,
I just want you to understand something. You are genuinely, without a doubt, one of the greatest rappers to ever touch a mic. I love you with all my heart. You're my brother.
what if I told you that prior to forming this extremely tight friendship with Drake that dates far back, J. Cole actually found Kendrick Lamar first, and even discovered him before Dr. Dre. For the first time, I had found someone that loved this shit as much as I loved it, recalls J. Cole of meeting Kendrick in 2010. He took music just as serious and has a similar taste. It felt like your cousin coming over to your house. The first time that J. Cole and Kendrick met was 15 years ago at a photo shoot for the 2010 XXL Freshman List. But despite guys like J. Cole, Nipsey Hussle, Wiz Khalifa, Freddie Gibbs, and Big Sean named to the list, Kendrick Lamar was not, but instead was at this photo shoot to support fellow TDE artist J-Rock, who did make the cover. At this time in 2010 though, all J. Cole had out was his mixtape, The Warm Up, and Kendrick was yet to even drop Section 80. Then, after initially crossing paths at XXL, it wasn't until a listening party a few months later they both attended when they really got the chance to connect. And immediately, as soon as he heard Kendrick Lamar rap for the first time in his life, J. Cole knew he was a star in the making.
I met Kendrick at a time when all I had out was the warm-up. Nobody knew who he was. He didn't have a deal. He was signed to Top. I didn't know he was signed to Top. I actually wanted to sign him. But in my mind, he was the first person I ever found that I was like, yo, I'm telling everybody, like, yo, I'm trying to sign this kid. Like, yo, this nigga's nasty. Because what happened was, I was at a party in LA, this group called You and I, release party. We went, and at the party, you know, they had a few songs, and they brought this kid up. You know, short ass kid. I'm looking at this short, you know, dark skin. I'm like, yo, who's this kid? Like, and then he gets on the mic and murders. I'm a rapper's rapper, and I'm not easily impressed. You know what I mean? And when I saw him, I was like, what? When I heard him, I'm instantly like, I'm looking at Eve like, yo, this nigga's crazy. Like, I gotta go let him know that he's ill.
J. Cole, did you tell Dr. Dre about Kendrick?
Who told you that?
The two exchanged contact information and would stay in touch fairly often. Then, as Cole recalls, it was Kendrick who reached out for their first ever collab. Except there was just one thing. It wasn't for a feature verse. When I dropped Blow Up, a track off J. Cole's 2010 mixtape, Friday Night Lights, and a track that Cole actually produced himself, I remember Kendrick hitting me like, bro, I need one of those, talking about how crazy the beat was. Then when I was out in LA, he came by No ID's studio and I linked with him, Cole continues. I played him the beat for what would become the track High Power, which would land on Kendrick's debut album, and when I played some beats for him, I was like, bro, you can have these if you want. I remember he said, and it always stuck with me because I had never heard nobody say this to me before, he was looking at me like, bro, are you sure you want to give me these? I'm like, yeah, go ahead and take them. He was like, bro, you sleeping on yourself. And it struck me because it was actually the stone cold truth of my reality at the time. Back in 2010, J. Cole was grinding hard and really working to also establish his name as a producer as well. And along with making the beat for the Section 80 single, High Power, clearly Kendrick Lamar was a big fan of Cole's production. Thus, it only made sense for Cole to then produce the majority of beats for their collab album together. We don't have a title or release date yet, Kendrick told XXL of this legendary project, but J. Cole got like 90% of the production so far.
This is me and J. Cole working on right here.
Now, we aren't sure if they ever made anything with that beat in particular. However, these are far from the only two instances where each of them have teased this mysterious album. Cole and Kendrick not dropping a collab album is hip-hop's biggest crime, one fan comments. Possibly the biggest bucket list album we've never heard. It's no secret that a J. Cole-Kendrick album would be massive. Again, we know that it exists, and the thing is that they both seemed like they wanted it to drop. So, the question remains, why did it never come out? Did something go down behind the scenes? Well, prior to rapping that Kendrick Lamar, quote, fell off like The Simpsons, on his diss track last year, 7 Minute Drill, literally ever since the first studio session that Kendrick and J. Cole had though, rumors have swirled about a collab album together. And I guess it makes sense why. It's a lot of music, I'ma put it to you that way. Kendrick Lamar told Vibe magazine in 2010 about his work with J. Cole. It might not be just one song. With a massive mutual respect for each other's craft, the two began working on what they were calling Top Secret. And of course, this sent fans into a frenzy, instantly jumping to conclusions.
We did really, in that moment, talk about it. Then, a couple months before his first album came out, we worked on a bus, and he came to Fayetteville, we worked on a bus. But he came and we did a few more songs on the bus. So at one point, it was a real thing.
Cole admits that the album was real. But while the duo of Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole were still yet to release an official song together as of 2010, 1 year later at a meet and greet with fans for Section 80, Kendrick would preview this first sneak peek of a song with J. Cole.
Often I'm caught up in confusion and need a dissolution. They tell me the solution to see through this illusion. I'm living, a few friends killed, a few sent to prison. Caught up in confusion and trying to find solutions. To try to flip the system as a form of prostitution. I'm ready, the city probably see me as the nuisance deadly.
This still unreleased track that Kendrick played, titled Temptation, was not only featuring J. Cole, but also produced by him as well. Yet, they both just continued to tease fans. One of my favorite songs on the project is a song called Shock the World, Kendrick said in a 2011 interview. Cole laid the first verse down and set the tone for the whole record. It's going to shake up a lot of people. Combined with then, more interviews such as this J. Cole and Bootleg Kev one a year later, hype was skyrocketing for this already anticipated album. And yes, they were calling it an album, not a mixtape.
That mixtape that y'all...
Oh man.
It's like folklore. It's hip-hop folklore.
Album, man.
The Kendrick, J. Cole mixtape album.
And do you still have some stuff with J. Cole coming?
Yeah, we're gonna drop that out the sky though. I ain't gonna give no dates, no nothing.
However, obviously nothing would drop out of the sky as another year passed with still no album. But at this point though, in 2013, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole were each becoming massive stars in their own right. Both riding extremely hot off the major success of their second albums, Kendrick's classic Good Kid Mad City and Cole's Born Sinner in 2013, which actually included the pair's first official song, Forbidden Fruit. But then, as they began to start and get serious about dropping their album together, unfortunately, this is where they ran into problems. Now I see why these joints don't happen. J. Cole pulled MTV in 2013, but it's a different thing when you got Will and both your minds are set on it. It should happen. What Cole was referencing here are the difficulties that come with releasing a collab album as two superstars. More specifically, all of the record labels that would be involved. And to make matters worse, at the time, Kendrick Lamar was signed to TDE, Aftermath Entertainment, and also Interscope Records, along with his publishing handled through Universal. Meanwhile, J. Cole was signed to Roc Nation, with his distribution managed through Columbia and his own Dreamville label. That's a lot of people you have to go through and make happy. But yet, the two remain positive they could get it done. It's coming, J. Cole insisted again in 2013. We already got too many songs. Even if you just get an EP, you gonna get something. but we got that we holding in the stash.
Is there gonna be a Kendrick Lamar J. Cole album?
Man, definitely. I still would love to do it for sure. I talked to the bro probably a little bit over a month, and he's on the tour rocking, so we're gonna try to make something happen.
This question will be asked a lot, so I'll just answer it here. Typed J. Cole in a Reddit Q&A 10 years ago. Me and Kendrick have some really good songs in the stash, but haven't had a chance to properly work on a project. An album will come in the future, but probably not this year. I'm just happy for my guy. It's honestly crazy to say this, but 10 years ago now was 2015, and by then, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole were proven stars at the top of their game. Having each just dropped another masterpiece, combined with J. Cole claiming that he was happy for Kendrick, well, at least back then he was happy for him. Again, now he's saying Kendrick is past his prime, but as the two would keep bringing each other out at their shows over the years, it was clear they were genuinely good friends.
Another Down and Dream show, we got a special guest.
It's my turn.
I got blood on my dick because I the court. I'm a nasty. When you pass me, nigga, look me in my eye and tell me to my face you ain't ready to die.
As the year of 2015 came to a close, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole did have one surprise in store for their fans though. After watching Drake and Future release their smash collab album, What a Time to Be Alive, in September, just 2 months later in November of 2015, something happened which would send fans' hype to an all-time high. The day was Black Friday. Out of nowhere, Kendrick and J. Cole decided to release remixes of each other's hit songs exclusively on SoundCloud. J. Cole would spit bars over Kendrick's Alright instrumental, while Kendrick put his own spin on the Tale of Two Cities beat. But despite both tracks being a pleasant Thanksgiving surprise, it was these lyrics here in the outro of J. Cole's song though, which instantly caught everybody's attention. Rapping,
"But this February bet shit gets scary when I fuck around and drop."
The song abruptly ends there. At first, many fans took this as February 2016 being the month for the release of Kendrick and Cole's album. Then to add significantly more fuel to this theory, Kendrick Lamar's sister, Kayla Duckworth, also made this Facebook post, not only telling her followers to go check out her brother's new song, but then confusingly adding here at the end what many fans believed was the album's leaked release date. Collab drop February 16th, so be on the lookout as well. However, despite anticipation through the roof, February would come and go without even a mention of an album. In fact, months would pass with still no new news. The most info we'd get was this tweet in 2017 from Top Dog President Punch, who even he didn't seem like he knew what was going on. I was just playing about that Dot and Cole joint. It's coming, for sure, maybe. I don't know, it might happen. Actually hit them. Months continued to pass by, and any hope we'd ever get to hear this collab album was diminishing, continuing to still pop out at each other's shows, including Cole, who made an appearance on the Damn Tour in 2017.
One finger, everybody, side, top, bottom, left. Everybody up top, I see y'all and shit. I put a finger in the sky, if you want.
Despite no bad blood between the two, at least at the time, a year later in 2018, J. Cole would speak again about the possibility of an album with Kendrick. But unfortunately, it was far from what fans wanted to hear.
So does this mean there'll never be a Kendrick and Cole album that everybody seems to think is happening?
Not for that reason. It's not that I wouldn't want to work with him. That's not the case.
So that's not a real thing. That's like some fantasy thing.
It's not. It didn't come from nowhere. It came from us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's not like it's something that's actively happening.
They shouldn't get their hopes up?
Nah.
J. Cole told fans they shouldn't get their hopes up, but also took responsibility for both of them leading us on for so many years. And then, aside from a short 2-bar chorus from Kendrick, on the intro track Under the Sun for J. Cole and Dreamville's Revenge of the Dreamers 3, the last we heard of this Kendrick collab tape was in 2023, when J. Cole went on Lil Yachty's podcast and said this.
But bro, time in life, we ain't never got a chance to like really go in. Right. And bro, when you got two successful artists with lives and families, it's like, bro, that's hard to do.
Cole put the collab album rumors to rest for the final time. Understandably so, fans were sad and disappointed about what could have been. But just a year and a half ago though, when J. Cole said that on Yachty's podcast, Cole and Kendrick appeared to still be good friends. "That's my man, first and foremost," J. Cole stated back in 2010. "I just feel proud because I've always seen it." The truth is, J. Cole was really one of the first rappers to ever co-sign Kendrick Lamar, and has literally been there since the beginning, watching him grow into the star he is. However, on the other hand, they say sometimes you have to cut certain people off along your journey. And little did either of them know, but the year of 2024 would go on to destroy Kendrick and J. Cole's friendship forever, as nobody could have predicted what happened next. They act like two legends cannot coexist. J. Cole raps on the chorus of his 2019 hit Middle Child, although Kendrick is determined to stand alone at the top. 2024 would prove to be the year which saw Kendrick and Cole go from friends to enemies, but it was actually a song from the year prior that kicked everything off. And despite ironically starting his verse, "Dude's so thirsty to put me in beef, dissecting my words and start looking too deep," J. Cole's first song ever with fellow superstar Drake, titled First Person Shooter, would go on to do exactly that, ignite the biggest rap beef in history. And caught up right in the middle of it all was none other than J. Cole. As I mentioned earlier, and as I'm sure you guys know, J. Cole, Kendrick, and Drake make up what is often considered hip-hop's big three. Even J. Cole agrees too, as he would rap these lyrics on First Person Shooter.
Love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K-Dot, is it Aubrey or me? We the big three like we started a league.
First Person Shooter would surprisingly become J. Cole's first, and as of now only, Billboard #1 hit of his career. Can you imagine the numbers a collab album with Kendrick would have done though? But combined with then bars from Drake bragging and comparing himself to Michael Jackson with all of his hits, despite rumors that Kendrick Lamar was also asked to feature too but declined, there was no denying though that Kendrick took offense to this song and to Drake and J. Cole teaming up. And what came next would not only shock the entire music industry, but also the entire world.
As long as there has been rap, we have had rap beefs. If you've been on social media at all recently, you've probably seen this latest one.
This all started when Drake and J. Cole had this song called First Person Shooter.
Kendrick Lamar versus Drake was national headlines everywhere you looked. However, as a close friend and collaborator of both for over a decade, J. Cole was again dragged into this whole beef too, which absolutely exploded on March 22nd, 2024. As a hidden feature on Future and Metro Boomin's first collab album, Kendrick Lamar surprised us all by sending shots at both his peers Drake and J. Cole, quickly dismissing this idea of a big three. F sneak dissin', First Person Shooter, I hope he came with 3 switches, raps Kendrick on the song Like That. Mother F the big three, man, it's just big me. As Rob Markman of Genius puts it, Kendrick was drawing a firm line in the sand. His stance is, you can't just say you're the greatest, you're going to have to prove it.
Feel like the big three, like we started a league. Kendrick is saying, nah, that is just me. It ain't no three, it's me, and then whoever wants smoke.
Fans were hoping this would finally mean we'd get to hear these stars duel it out on the mic. As this whiteboard on Drake's tour read, the rap game will never be at peace, there will always be competition. Everyone wants to be the one. But while that is true, if we know anything about rap beefs from the past, we know that it's also true that they can get personal extremely fast. And looking back on it now, not only did this beef get pushed to lengths we've never seen, including Drake now trying to take it to court, clearly this was not the path that J. Cole wanted to take against his former friend. And as we'll see in a second, his new song confirms this as well. His former friend though, who again keep in mind only 5 months earlier, J. Cole was talking perfectly fine about Kendrick and their friendship on Lil Yachty's podcast. So how did everything crash down so fast? Well, although Kendrick's bars on Like That were aimed more at Drake rather than Cole, as the other member of this so-called Big Three, which Kendrick also said them in his verse, and not to mention that when Like That released and a bombshell was dropped on the entire rap industry, J. Cole actually happened to be on tour with Drake at the time. So in the shoes of J. Cole, there was no running from this beef. As just about everybody started picking a side in rap's 2024 Civil War, J. Cole was forced to make a decision one way or the other. Yet, surprisingly, before Drake even got the chance to get in the studio and respond back, regardless of how he truly felt inside, J. Cole would give in to the internet's pressure and actually respond with a diss track of his own for Kendrick. Originally featured as the outro track for his new project Might Delete Later, which, judging from these vlogs that were posted months prior, Cole had already been planning to drop this project before this beef happened. But obviously his diss response, titled 7-Minute Drill, was recorded recently, as it would hear J. Cole take multiple light jabs at his former collaborator. Now, it's important to repeat though that I said light jabs, with bars calling Kendrick's discography boring and inconsistent, such as "Your first was classic, your last was tragic," referring to Kendrick's albums, claiming his 2022 Mr. Morale was tragic. "Your second album put people to sleep, but they gassed it. Your third was massive, and that was your prime." Then another bar about his relevance.
If he wasn't dissing, then we wouldn't be discussing her.
As well as rapping that Kendrick fell off like The Simpsons. Seen as more of a warning track, it was obvious that J. Cole was hesitant about even responding from the very start, which, given their long past history that we just learned, makes a lot of sense. "Lord, please don't make me have to smoke this man, cause I with him." Cole even raps on this same diss. However, despite being named 7-Minute Drill, 7 minutes is just a little shorter than the amount of time this diss track stayed released. And as it now turns out, J. Cole's next decision would not only lead to the most backlash he's ever received in his career, but also, in the eyes of some fans, may have just maybe opened the possibility the two could rekindle their broken friendship. If we're being honest, J. Cole has never claimed to be some hard street rapper. And after dissecting the lyrics, again the majority of Kendrick's disses were aimed at Drake, but as fans eagerly waited on the edge of their seats to see how this three-way beef would play out, just 2 days following the release of J. Cole's new mixtape and diss track, he would host his annual Dreamville Festival in North Carolina. A weekend full of big-name performances we can see here. However, as Cole himself took the final stage to close out his sold-out festival, although admitting he fully knew the response that this would elicit, J. Cole's closing speech left everybody in shock.
It's one part of that that make me feel like, man, that's the lamest shit I ever did in my life, right? And I know this is not what a lot of people want to hear. I know I can hear my niggas up there right now like, nah, don't do that. But I got to keep it 100 with y'all. I damn near had a relapse, right? And I was conflicted because, one, I know my heart. I know how I feel about my peers, these two niggas that I just been blessed to even stand beside in this game, let alone chase. So I felt conflicted because I'm like, bro, I know I don't really feel no way. But the world want to see blood. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I moved in a way that I feel spiritually feel bad on me. Like I try to like jab my nigga back and I try to keep it friendly. But at the end of the day, when I listen to it and when it comes out and I see the talk, that shit don't sit right with my spirit. That shit disrupts my peace. So what I want to say right here tonight is in the midst of me doing that, trying to find a little angle and downplay this nigga's catalog and his greatness, I want to say right now tonight, how many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest motherfuckers to ever touch a microphone? Dreamville, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I.
Not even 48 hours after releasing his diss track, J. Cole was walking back his previous actions. As he said, due to days of not sleeping, because he was so deep in his head to the point where he literally almost relapsed, J. Cole then came to the decision to publicly apologize to Kendrick Lamar for the way he moved. But it didn't stop there.
I say all that to say it made me feel like 10 years ago when I was moving incorrectly. And I pray that God align me back up on my purpose and on my path. I pray that my nigga really didn't feel no way. And if he did, my nigga, I got my chin out. Take your best shot. I'm gonna take that shit on the chin, boy. Do what you do. All good. Yo, E, we taking that song off of fucking streaming services, nigga. My niggas is gonna have to deal with it.
In addition to apologizing, J. Cole announced that he was going to delete 7-Minute Drill off of all streaming platforms, quite literally living up to the project's name. As the caring and compassionate dude he is, Cole simply did what he felt was right. However, despite acknowledging that he knew it would let a lot of his fans down, that is exactly what happened.
J. Cole, bro, what are you doing, bro? J. Cole apologizes to Kendrick Lamar for dropping the diss track. Bro, ain't no way.
Disappointed that their favorite artist basically self-removed himself from this battle of the big three, which fans have been waiting for years. But while I get that people are mad, because even if Cole was conflicted, he did still make the final decision to drop his diss. At the same time though, others like to argue that J. Cole simply saw where this beef was headed, then realized he didn't want to be involved, and owned up to his mistakes like a man. Cole is a very genuine guy, reads this tweet from Top Dog's Punch a day later. I respect it. We often give in to external pressures and outside influences and act out of our own character. It's rare to have enough heart to make the correction. It didn't align with him, so he fixed it in the same manner he engaged. Salute. But regardless of how you personally feel, this risky decision to apologize will forever be remembered in J. Cole's career. And although this courageous move did show us that at least J. Cole is potentially open to working together again, however, how did Kendrick respond? Despite his viral apology, this hasn't changed the fact that we still haven't seen Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole together in years. Honestly, I don't even think they've linked up since before the pandemic in 2020. Some fans like to speculate that Cole possibly reached out to patch things up with Kendrick behind closed doors, which I suppose could be possible. But as of the time I'm making this video, Kendrick Lamar has not said anything else about J. Cole. He just released his new GNX album in November, and it seems like it's back to business. However, that is not the case for J. Cole. One random Wednesday night on October 10th, 2024 to be exact, fans were met with a new surprise track from J. Cole as soon as they opened Instagram. Now, I've already dove into this strange trend of rappers dropping songs on Instagram in a previous video, but titled Port Antonio, this new single from Cole would hear him touch on his chaotic year, and finally explain in more detail why he backed out of the beef. Rapping, "I pulled the plug because I've seen where that was about to go. They wanted blood, they wanted clicks to make they pockets grow. They see this fire in my pen and think I'm dodging smoke." And then finishing out with this bar, which sums up his entire mindset in one sentence. "I wouldn't have lost a battle dog, I would have lost a bro." Once more, we can see that despite being initially pressured by the internet and fans into choosing a side, J. Cole bowed out of hip-hop's biggest beef simply because he had too much respect for both rappers, and the friendships he'd built through the years.
One of the first cats to welcome me with open arms in this motherfucking music business when I ain't know shit about it. You feel me?
And I think hip-hop is a sport, so you're gonna have these little spits and spats.
If you really think about it, the disses that Kendrick and J. Cole threw at each other were definitely weak compared to what Drake got. And in my opinion, I feel like Kendrick had his sights set on Drake this entire time, and was gonna go for blood regardless if Cole stepped in or not. However, at the same time, Kendrick Lamar has made it clear that if you're not with him, then you're against him. And despite J. Cole's best efforts to carefully toe that middle line and balance friendships with both rappers, as it appears today, Kendrick Lamar's biggest problem with J. Cole is simply that Cole knows about everything he has called Drake out for, such as being a culture vulture or his love for But yet, J. Cole continues to be all buddy-buddy with Drake. With that being said, it remains to be seen if J. Cole's apology was enough to rebuild his deep-rooted relationship with Kendrick Lamar. But considering their extensive history of over 15 years together, as two of the best to ever do it, it would be a shame if this is truly the end of Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. However, only time will tell what happens next.